So wait, who is Honk with again? Who did you say?
Honk is with Tsubasa. She's Honkers. Honk. She's with the leader of Arise, the rival group in Love Live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. What up, Internet? How's it going? It's me, Craigus von Maximus III. I am your host for Any Chatbox, episode 45. Yes, episode 45 of the Any Chatbox. God, we're fracking old. Only 5 more episodes until we're past our prime. I hope you all are doing well this fine evening. Along with me, we have the cinnamon roll of the podcast, Cammy. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in yet again.
Right on. And you can stay tuned in with us via all of our options. We have social media and ways you can listen to us in podcast services. Let's break those down for you. First off, twitter.com/TheNHChatbox with 280 characters. Hit us up there. If you wish to talk to the hosts, they're also listed. If you wish to email us and give us topic suggestions, or if you want to actually give us an anime to review, good or bad, if you say, yo, I disagree with your opinion on Blend S because it has the dankest memes, then feel free to hit us up at anychatmail@gmail.com. Again, we're found via multiple podcast services: iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and SoundCloud. Feel free to drop us a rating. 5 stars are most appreciated, and it helps us rise above the top. Leave us a review, and we'll read it on air for you. And finally, if you find it within your Kingdom Hearts of hearts, hit us up on Patreon. Patreon.com/AnyChatbox to donate some hot cash muns. That way we can incentivize you with hot, dank incentives and perks. It'll be awesome.
Wow, that was really well put. Really, really well put.
Thank you. Thank you. Alrighty, today we're going to be talking about an anime called Kakegurui, which is Compulsive Gambler. But before we get to that, we're going to tie this main topic into said anime with obsessions. What do you like to do in your spare time that you get hopelessly hooked on and you realize, man, I spent so much time into this investment. I just love it. And I have a problem. And yes. Cammy, what do you have a problem with?
Okay, so because we, or I don't know, I haven't put a ton of thought into this so far. I'm sure the ideas will flow. But the first thing I thought of is I was like, what's one of my problematic obsessions? And I would say, I am a compulsive, because the compulsive gambler, I am a compulsive shipper. And I think my main obsessive problem is gay ships. I see them everywhere. Oh. I look up fan art. I look up fan fiction. I cannot get enough of it. If there is a way that I can put a beautiful homo lens around any sort of rivalry or friendship, or, you know, maybe they just glance at each other once, I will do that. Funny case in point, last week I was watching the latest episode of Recovery of an MMO Junkie, and there were really cute scenes between these two characters. This was actually a heterosexual relationship, but I squealed a lot, and my boyfriend outside in the living room just said, "Cammy, are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Did a guy look at another guy?" And I was like, "No, but you know me too well."
Oh god. Oh god. So how was that during Haikyuu and Kirk in a Basket?
Glad you asked. For me personally, I couldn't get super invested into Haikyuu. There were definitely some moments where I was like, wow, this is beautifully gay. I think the characters that I really, really felt a strong ship for was Nishinoya and I can't remember his name, but like the guy who's like the big teddy bear, he's got his hair pulled back in like a man bun.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
And he used to be on the team with Nishinoya, and Nishinoya was like, "Why aren't you playing anymore? Because like I'm not gonna play unless you play, and like we have to support each other." And even Get was like, at moments we were like, "Wow, that is so homo. It's wonderful."
Oh god.
And
yeah, Nishinoya was the guy with the bleached hair, right?
Yes, I love him.
The most anime of all anime characters in that show.
Well, so Nishinoya had like a streak in his hair. The one with the like fully bleached blonde hair was Kenma, who
Oh, right.
Who, to be fair, from what I had seen, had been my favorite character. The only reason I'm really tempted to go watch season 2 is because I want more Kenma and I want more of his team Nekoma. I really liked their team and their characters. They seem fun. But that is to be continued. But you know what, Craig? You know what we can have an in-depth conversation about?
What?
The best ships in Kuroko no Basket.
So listen, when it comes to Kuroko no Basket, or the basketball with which Kuroko plays,
nice.
You know, everyone is a top and Kuroko's the bottom in that show, and it's just a giant fucking, like, power struggle between every one of the Generation of Miracles and Kagami wanting possession over Kuroko. I feel as though that's what all the fangirls of the manga felt, and oh man, the fangirlism for that show went so high that, actually, you probably knew this or may not have known this, but in the case of that show, the mangaka actually received death threats by, because essentially the fandom is so yaoi bait, and people in Japan were not a fan of that. Some fans weren't a fan of that, and they sent him death threats, and he's like, I just write the basketball manga, I don't know what you're talking about, don't send me anthrax, please.
I did hear about that. That was awful. I heard that there were also, for a while, like, at certain conventions in Japan, they wouldn't allow Kuroko no Basket doujinshi because people were sending threats, basically, to...
Yep.
Which, wow, that's wild. That is absolutely wild.
Fans, they are crazy.
I'm so glad to know your headcanon is basically this giant polyamorous ship with Kuroko on the bottom. I will tell you my personal...
It's so true.
I will tell you my personal gospel. While okay. I can see your headcanon as like that whole thing at the start of the show. Definitely. Because especially when it was just like Kuroko and the Generation of Miracles, yes, that's exactly how it went. But I have hope. I have hope for other ships in the future, which, number one, case in point, is Kagakuro, obviously, because the light and the shadow, and they had so many beautiful scenes together, and they complement each other so well. I think there was a, they even went through like a domestic fight, like I think it was near the end of, season 1, after a certain game is lost, and then they're like, mad at each other, and then they make up, and they have this beautiful scene under the starlight. I love them. I will say that when I watched Kuroko last game, which by the way we should watch together, I cried.
Oh yeah.
I cried at a scene between them. It was great. But other ships aside from that, I really, really like Kisei and Aomine as a ship, which is not quite as like visible, but I think that their dynamic works really well, and if you read into one of the, again, you'll know exactly which one I'm talking about, one of the games, there is, there's a lot about their dynamic between each other and how they work, and I really, really ship it a lot. And I will say again, last game also supported and confirmed my ship, because last game gave a lot of moments to like each of my ships, and it made me really happy. So that was one. That was one. And then there is Midorima and Takao. They are...
Oh, Takao,
yes!
Yep.
What are you Takaoing about? What are you talking about?
I I like the fact that Midorima was always just like shut up to him
Yes.
at all points, and Midorima was such a special boy. He always had his lucky charm with him at all points.
And Tako was always the one that would, like, drive him around in his weird little wooden wagon while he, like, lugged all his good luck charms everywhere. And he's just like, why am I doing this? And I think my favorite, basically with them, it's a very standard thing. You have the serious, like, kind of stuck-up one with Midorima, and then you have Tako, who's just, like, fun-loving. And one of my favorite scenes is when Midorima and Kuroko or not Kuroko, I think it was Midorima and Kagami, somebody, they were having like a talk, and it was like supposed to be deep and dramatic, and then Tako and the other characters in the bushes, and he's just like, shh, I want to watch. And then Midorima gets insulted, and you see Tako in the bushes, and he's just laughing his ass off, like trying to cover his mouth, because he just gets so much shits and giggles from seeing Midorima suffer. It's great.
Oh, good lord.
I love it. Okay. And then, okay, I think those are my main three.
By the way,
yeah.
When you're talking Kuroko, I actually went out of my way to try and find the guy's name from Haikyuu, Nishinoya X Asahi.
Yes!
Is who you're talking about.
Yes.
Asahi Azumane.
Ship.
He's got like dreads.
Yes.
If I recall correctly, yeah.
Thank you. That is exactly it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could go on for hours about my gay ships, and I will spare all of the listeners who are even still here from that.
Listen, it's an introspective into how you view anime. You just see beautiful boys, and boys are just being boys, and you're just like, I get you. I see what you're putting down.
You are exactly right. To throw it back at you, though, even though you haven't even said what you're obsessed with, I am giving you the platform to talk about idols.
All right.
Right now.
To the idols. So it's weird. Like I have more than just idols as an obsession.
For sure.
Obsession. But when it comes to that, I gravitate towards things that are cute. However, I will point that out with the caveat that says, man, most of anime is cute nowadays with zero substance, but it's all cash cows because it's cute for the cute appeal and it sells the figures.
That it is.
And that is exactly what Love Live does. Ladies and gentlemen, Idolmaster, Love Live, Wake Up Girls, all that sort of shit. I have yet to see any other idol show outside of Love Live. I'm a filthy casual. I've let you down. Aikatsu as well. Shout out to that. I like a lot of the Love Live because we're friends with people that are into the show as well. And we do like discussions. Shout out to Suzuki, who we talk about Sunshine, and we slowly realize that Sunshine is very okay and very bleh, depending on the week to week.
Oh.
But it's cute for cute sake, and yeah, a lot of that is to put a spin on what Cammy was saying with her boys. Love Live is all about, all of these scenes are so gay, so beautiful. The girls they love each other so much, and there's even sometimes not just the OTPs, but the OT3s where two girls will support their main bae as much as they can, and you're like, oh, Sunrise knows what the show's all about. Same with Love Live Original, and now Love Live Sunshine. It's just Ellie's Nozomi, Maki Nico, Honoka, Tsubasa, Umi Nozomi, or not Nozomi, Umi Kotori, Hanayo X Rin.
So wait, who is Honk with again? Who did you say?
Honk is with Tsubasa. She's Honkers. Honk. She's with the leader of Arise, the rival group in Love Live.
I didn't know that. For some reason, I thought it was Honoka and Nitor, the one with like the sandy colored hair that Cassie likes.
Kotori?
Yes, Kotori.
Some people ship it. Some people also ship her with Umi as well. And some people ship hunkers with Maki. Again, it's just the same horrible, horrible hell that like the boys love.
Yes.
People go into Love Live and they're like, man, every girl loves each other equally.
Yep.
And it's all pure and not full of horrible, horrible artwork out there. But regardless, outside of shipping cute things, way back when, to be compulsively, like, go out of my way to do it, way back when, me and my friend, shout out to Zach, would be really into video games, and so much so to the point where we would go trophy and achievement hunting, which is essentially 100%ing the game, completing the game in all facets of this, like, what you can do with it. And while that was good to, if you didn't get, like, a lot of money, I used to do this a lot when I was a kid because I never had a job before going to college and whatnot, where I was like, I only can get games Christmas and birthday. I'm going to play this game to, like, for hundreds and hundreds of hours, complete it, and then I'm going to be moving on to my next game. And nowadays, it's all about what you can do in order to just say, hey, you got to get that dopamine drip. You gotta get all the trophies and the achievements. Nowadays, however, I kind of dial that back a little bit, but it's still very fun in order to see trophies pop. Case in point, this year, I don't know why I did this, but you can relate to this. Played Persona 5.
Yes.
We love that. We love that game. And it's very anime as fuck. And I'm excited for the anime adaptation by A1 Pictures next year.
Yes.
So I played and beat that game within 100 hours. So then I decided to go and do New Game Plus. Did I complete everything and get all the trophies? Fuck no. And it saddens me greatly. I still have yet to get all the social links in the game because what did I do instead? I played every video game and read every single textbook and ignored people because I needed to get those trophies.
Oh, bless. Bless, Craig.
I have yet to finish the compendium, and it's like, and create all the crafting tools for that game, and it eats at me sometimes where I'm like, I'm gonna have to do a New Game Plus where I'm gonna have to do it all over again. I'm gonna have to carry the stats, and I have to catch the biggest fish in the game at the fishing pond area. Fuck.
I can definitely understand that. Get is also a completionist gamer, so like to the point where there's like I think you already know about this game, but there is a visual novel game called Kata wa Shoujo, where you are romancing girls with some form of like their alter able in some way. And there's the multitude of endings that you can get, and like he went out of his way to make sure that along with the good and neutral endings, he also got all of the bad endings. And me as a person that doesn't like to necessarily cause myself that sort of pain, like I like emotional pain, but I like it when it comes from a good place, like, you know, something like Anohana that makes me cry. But like to do something to piss off this virtual girl that I have been developing this relationship with, I'm like, why would you do that? And he's like, well, that's just how I do it. I have to max everything.
yeah. If anything, to his credit with visual novels, I think you can skip all the dialogue that you've already run across and just make the choices. In his case, is he using a guide, or is he just kind of like guessing?
I think initially with like each girl, his first impression is to guess, but then he'll go back and use a guide and skip through things typically. Yeah. But I understand that style of gaming, and I can kind of relate to a degree. I had started getting really into Stardew Valley this year, and that was one of the first Steam games that I started playing frequently. And every time I got a little achievement about my farm or mining or something, I was like, ooh, I see you in the corner, all shiny and cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get more of those.
You should.
I could.
How's your farm nowadays? Is it raking in all the cash money? Did you marry the hot doctor? I believe there's a doctor in the game, right?
There is I'm trying to remember. Yeah, there is a doctor that you can date. I ended up dating the poet that lived by the sea, who looked kind of like Fabio. His name was Elliot. We did get married, and we have a farm. I don't have kids yet, or I've done all that upgrading. I can't recall the reason that I kind of fell off of it. I think it was because I started playing it in the summer, and then things happened. But now, at this point, there are a couple reasons I want to go and create a second file and start all over again, because they added some upgrades to the game. And a character that all of the fans, male, female, non-identifying, everyone was sweating over this character named Shane. And in one of the latest updates, they finally made Shane dateable. And so now I'm like...
Oh, really?
And now I'm like, but Shane's there. So I'm actually thinking that I want to get Stardew Valley for the Switch so I can start there and play portably. Because I tend to get a lot more done in games if I have the ability to play it as I go, like on the go. So...
Yeah. Definitely the Switch is very fun for that aspect. Also, while you said the name Shane, I decided to Google Shane... Wait, this guy was not dateable previously. He's now dateable?
Yes.
Wow, he's a pretty boy. I'm rather surprised in this case.
He has that appeal because he's cold and he's kind of grizzled, and there's like one event with him, and he basically opens up and is like, "Do you ever feel depressed and like broken? Sometimes I think we just feel that way,
Ooh.
but take care of yourself." And you're just like, Shane, why?
Ooh.
And so he's very intriguing, and I'm very excited to see how his romance line goes. Other plus side of Stardew Valley also, you can date any bachelor or bachelorette. There are no gender locks in the game or romance paths, which is really cool. Really, really cool.
Nice. Actually, speaking of dating, real quick, you were into the Dream Daddy.
I was.
And taking it back to visual novels. Have you completed that game?
I have not. I think I have 2 or 3 more routes to complete. I do plan to get those badges for sure. I want to get the Daddiest Daddy achievement, which is when you have...
Ooh, the Daddiest Daddy.
Yeah, when you've dated all the dads and gotten those endings. There's one, and you know that's pushing for the trophy, because there's one route that I really don't want to do because I really don't like the character, but I'm gonna do it because I want that achievement. And
what route is it that you don't want to do? Is it a character that's like?
It's a character
kind of a dick. Which dad is that?
His name is Joseph, and he is super Christian. Has a wife and 3 kids. So there's home wrecking. There's the fact that I don't think that he owns up to his sexuality. We're gonna have to see how it goes. I am curious, and I've heard that there's the opportunity for a bad end and a good end with him. So it'll be interesting. That game is really good, by the way. Shout out to Game Grumps. Really, really fun game. Everybody should go buy it and play it.
Yeah, I actually heard nothing but good things about it, all things considered, where I was like, huh, YouTubers made a video game, right on. Good on Vernon for all that. So
yeah, it's fun too, because they come in and like do some character voices, and so it's really fun to catch that. Yeah, when I found out that the one and only Danny Sexbang voiced one of the characters, I was like, oh my god.
Nice.
That was pretty great. That being said, to briefly tie that back into obsessions, this isn't something that I necessarily fixate on, but it's something that I've noticed becomes a habit with me at this point, and that I need to, at this point, be listening to something in like my daily routine. So like when I get up in the morning, take a shower, do my hair, get dressed, I need to have I used to be able to listen to music, but now I like to have some sort of conversation going. So I will always have either a podcast or media analysis or let's plays like the Game Grumps that are playing in the background, and I really don't feel right if I am not doing that. And I think that's a habit that I've developed over the past maybe like 2 years, but I don't see any sign of it stopping.
Hey, I mean, at least so long as you're entertained, like background noise is always like something to like always keep, what is it? to always have on to keep your brain active.
Yeah.
I know when it's not really, it's background noise for me when I'm sleeping. I always have to have something on because otherwise that it seems too eerie quiet.
I get that.
I always like to watch TV and to have something on in the background. Otherwise that I'm just kind of like,
Yeah, a little too much.
Then again, however, if something has to keep my attention, I'm horrible at multitasking, so sometimes the reruns are good for that, like rewatching a show that you've already seen, like Parks and Rec, or
nice.
30 Rock, or Scrubs, or How I Met Your Mother. It's always good. It's always a good time, and you're always entertained. So
that makes total sense. Yeah, I often wonder if that's just a case of like our generation as well, because we've grown up with like so much media consumption that sometimes I get a little worried because I'm like, is this like my brain being controlled by like the media gray noise, you know, a little bit. But like you said, I think it's as long as you're keeping your mind entertained and active, that is a good thing. And to be fair, like, even when I was a kid, I would, like, read and listen to audiobooks pretty frequently, so...
Ooh, nice.
There's that. What about one of your other obsessions?
You know, I wouldn't call it... I'm not really obsessed, but I like things clean. I have, not jokingly, but somewhat serious, where I have a mild case of OCD where I'm like, I like things #clean boys. So I like to essentially, I find it cathartic to clean, and I really get into it. Like if I get a task, 20 minutes later, I'm like, wow, I cleaned the whole house and I really like it. Am I obsessed with it? I like things clean to an extent where I'm like, okay, it's been like three days to like a week. I should probably clean the house. Because for prosperity reasons, and make sure that if in case there is a guest in the abode, then they have a good time and it's not smelly. What about you?
Are the Kepekidanshi Craig-kun.
I don't know about that. I don't know on that level of cleanliness. I mean, I don't like scrub up in order to dodge dirt, but oh man, that show is wild.
That was a thing. I think that the only other thing that I thought of maybe online with obsession, and I feel like all of my obsessions kind of tie in with one another, where you've got like anime, you've got shipping, and the only other thing that I really wanted to bring light to is fan art. That I could literally search for fan art of things for like 6 hours and just be trapped in a hole. like a vortex, and realize the time went by. Sometimes I used to be a lot more into like actively collecting it and saving it on my computer, but nowadays I just kind of look at it, I like it, I reblog it, I might save it for being an icon or a wallpaper. But yeah, it's something that I really like and I really appreciate. So shout out to all those artists out there. You guys rock.
Yeah. I was gonna say that was like the thing with Twitter and Tumblr where you just find a tag and you just like, I'm in this fandom, insert anime here, and you're like, I'm gonna scroll down, look at the characters, and just see all the fan art, and just be like, yes, this is very good, molto bene, and you're like, man, I'm gonna spam all my friends with all of this awesome, dope art, whether they like it or not.
Yes.
And then you're like, maybe I flooded their IM windows. I probably shouldn't spam too much.
Yep. Endless scroll, I think, is just one of the most brutal traps that has been invented in the internet in the past few years. Just like, you get in this illusion that like there's never an end to it. So why should you stop? What else is lurking below?
No. You're always plugged in. You're always connected. You're always wanting more information, whether it be good or bad information.
Indeed. Speaking of good or bad, maybe this is a good time for us to segue into our review.
Ha-cha! Right on. Okay, so as I said at the beginning of this, we're reviewing the show Kakegurui, which is otherwise known as Compulsive Gambler. Studio Mappa. What they've done is Kids on the Slope. Cammy likes that show. And Zankyo no Terror, otherwise known as Terror in Resonance. Cass and me like that show.
Yeah.
Kimmy, have you seen that show?
I saw the first maybe 8 episodes, and I thought it was all right. My favorite character was kind of sidelined, and I think that's part of what I fell off on. I really liked the cop in that show. I thought he was really intriguing.
Oh yeah, the grizzled cop. I like him too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also another show by them. Everyone and their mother knows about it by now. Yuri on Ice.
Yay!
The heartthrob of last fall anime, if I recall correctly. So,
yeah.
Anyway, synopsis goes as such. Unlike many schools attending Hyakuyo Private Academy prepares students for their time in the real world. Damn, this is getting dark real quick. Since many of the students are the children of the richest people in the world, the academy has its quirks that separate it from all of the others. By day, it's a normal school, educating its pupils in history, language, and the like. Wait, really? They have an education in this school? I didn't realize it.
Never saw it.
But at night, it turns into a gambling den, educating them in the art of dealing with money and manipulating people. Money is power. For those who come out on top in the game, stand the top of the school. For Jabami Yumiko, a seemingly naive and beautiful transfer student, is ready to try her hand at Hyakuyo's special curriculum. Unlike the rest, she doesn't play to win, but for the thrill of the game. And the gamble. And her borderline insane way of gambling might just bring too many new cards to the table.
Ooh.
All right.
Whoa, was that the end of it?
Yeah, that was the end of the synopsis.
That was a nice synopsis. Very, very well worded.
Thank you, my anime list.
Yes. So story-wise, I actually, I really liked your comment about the fact that it's like, there was an education at this school, because I feel like this show as a story makes no mistake, no attempt to even, like, shield the fact that it's like, we are a gambling anime, the show's gonna be focused on the gambling matches, which is like fine, it's good. It's like how in a sports anime a lot of the time, you know, that's exactly what you're gonna dive right into.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let me think. I mean, I do think that one of the main draws to this show is its initial story and premise. I think it's really interesting and is one that I personally haven't really heard anything like it.
Just up front, I will say this show is animated very well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. How do I say? The show's premise is simple. You have a transfer student who, as the synopsis said, basically is in it for the thrill. She doesn't give a shit about riches or being on top or whatever. She just likes to gamble. With that, her overall goal really is she likes competition and she likes to essentially meet new people through this, and her goal is to topple the student council.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the student council also kind of gets their sights on her in the process. Trigger warning for all those who have not heard / seen the show. Also, it should be noted as well, first and foremost, that the show was acquired by Netflix.
Yes.
And it will be released whenever the fuck they decide, because unlike Beta Apocrypha, which actually had an okay, decent turnaround, first half of that being released, and the second half is going to be released sometime in December, Kakegurui is going to be released sometime in 2018, whenever the fuck it happens.
Yeah.
Also, Trigger, again, this show is very eccentric in the fact that this show can get lewd. Nay, it's a Food Wars level of... Actually, I'd say it's even a little bit more so than Food Wars levels of... They get really into the thing they're doing, and I think that Yumiko really likes to play her cards right, and when she gets things aligned properly, she it's an orgasmic feeling when she gets victory, ladies and gentlemen. I just let me tell you that much right now.
Is raunchy. Like, there is no denying it. Like, there is raunch there. And I mean, to be fair, I think that is just to some degree, I think that is kind of an element of the scene of, like, gambling. If you look at, like, you know, the appeal of Las Vegas and, like, casinos and that whole scenario, I think it fits in very well. So I guess I don't necessarily see it as a problem, but I definitely agree. It's good to warn audiences because, like, if that's something that per se turned you off of Food Wars, then maybe you'd have a similar reaction to this show. So that's a good point. Actually, yeah, I wanted to backpedal on something that you said, which for me, while it was an interesting premise, to me, it was kind of a holdup in the story department. You mentioned that Yumeko wants to play games, wants to get to know people. I think somewhere in there she does want to win, but she also mentions it's just about the thrill of the game. She wants to tackle the student council, but I felt like all of these goals were purely for her own amusement, where I also saw a degree of, like, I think the student council actually felt threatened by her, which was good. Sometimes I guess I felt like there weren't stakes in the show, and, like, the games that were progressing, it was just a game for a game's sake, which is fine. Yeah. Because I think they were well executed, but sometimes my investment was a little bit teetered because I was like, well, where are we going? It just almost feels kind of Monster of the Week.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I agree with you in that, where Shabami, for all we know, if she actually, how do I say, if you go broke in this society of this anime, you become a house pet. And you're labeled with a necklace that says you're a house pet. I believe it was like, you're a dog if you're a boy and you're a cat if you're a girl, right? I
think so, yeah.
So within the first couple episodes, this isn't really a spoiler, but, like, she doesn't give a shit if she's a house pet. And so there really was no stakes for her. Like, she just wanted to do it, whatever. Money was no value of her. Yeah. Or for her, rather.
Yeah. I think what was nice to be seen, especially in the early episode, I guess, for me then, is I was seeing, okay, well, clearly we know point blank that basically everyone in this school outside of MC Boy, whose name I'm forgetting, the Suzui? Okay, yeah. Who meets Yumeko. Yeah. He is rescued by Yumeko, I believe. Everybody outside of Suzui is pretty corrupt. So what we're seeing is Yumeko teaching them a lesson and them getting the comeuppance they deserve. So that was definitely, like, cool and neat to see. But I think around episode 3 or 4, I was like, is this gonna carry the whole show? Because I don't really know if it could. Granted, they added some little twists and turns later in the show that I did really appreciate, and it made me more interested in where the overall plot was going afterwards.
Yeah, I will say, on a surface level, I'm not a gambler. I've never gambled, never been to a casino. I've done lottery tickets, but that's just RNGesus out the wazoo. Same with slots. Whereas in this show, they're legit playing they're playing games that, when they explain them, it goes right over my head. But damn, if it's, like, not executed, like, really well. So
yeah, and you bring up a good point. Like, there are stakes as far as, like, what the victor gets versus receives. A lot of times they're to a fatal degree, which definitely does help. I think, I don't know, I guess I just had a sense that despite how fatal a lot of the things they were gambling for, I knew that, or I had a sense, I was like, oh, well, Yumeko's not gonna, she's not gonna lose. She's not gonna fall that far behind. So it felt like it was put on for show.
Whereas you felt as though her opponent would have, like, if they were to lose, then it would be it for them, and they would never show up again.
Yeah, I felt that...
Kind of like kind of like a Yu-Gi-Oh or like something like that.
Nice comparison. Oh man, I'm gonna make a Yu-Gi-Oh opening parody with Kakegurui with the cards. Your move, your move.
Yeah,
your move.
you could. It's time to duel.
Wow, I'm shelving that idea. That's amazing.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I guess without going too far into spoilers, though, I do think overall the story was solid because they managed to give the games a little bit more depth later on, which I liked.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Yeah. We'll talk about that in spoilers. I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay, then, so, character, as I always like to ask, who is your favorite and least favorite character in the show?
Yes! For me, it ended up being Saotome Meri, who is the first person that Yumeko basically has a gamble with in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just suffice it to say, I thought she would be a one-off character, which it turned out she is not, which I really liked. And I liked the direction that they took her character, and she ended up being kind of the character that I was most interested in the end. Least favorite character, right?
Yep. I mean, like, I will say, like, I agree with you. Mary had the most development, whereas everyone kind of seemed a little, with the exception of one character that was seen and then we'll come back later. We'll talk about maybe a little later, but there's one character that actually got a little bit more character development than along with Mary, there was one character that had some development.
Ooh, yeah.
But I agree, Mary actually had an arc where initially she kind of seemed bitchy, and well, to be fair, she's still a bitch.
Yeah, she's like
she's still a bitch, and for her, her status is everything. And again, she's one of those characters that if she lost,
no worries.
If she lost, then she would obviously have qualms with it.
Yes. If I had to say least favorite, I think I'd probably say, like, on a moral code, but also just kind of that they weren't executed very well. I would say the guy on the student council that has the glasses, like Megane guy.
Oh, right, the red-hand man, the treasury guy?
Yeah, I think he's the treasurer. Yeah, probably him. You know, a lot of the characters are scum, and we can dive into that, but I found him especially scummy.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I liked what he, like, some parts of him, but I mean, he's kind of there just to be a dick,
Yeah.
from what I understand.
Yeah.
I'd say for me, and this is kind of really unfair, I wasn't really the biggest fan of Suzui, the straight man
totally
and all the madness.
It. No, I mean, like you said, it's kind of not fair because, I mean, I think he is written to be a mechanism, like a very specific type
the Avatar.
A very specific type of character, but at the same time, that doesn't make him compelling. That doesn't make him interesting or have backbone. So I can see that.
Also, the glasses boy of the student council is Mana Yuda Kaide. So
you are on it today. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Who was your favorite character?
Well, like I said, I liked Mary Satome.
Nice.
I also liked the student council idol, the one that was responsible for the press.
Yumemi.
I liked Yumemi. Yumemite. Yeah, that's her name.
Oh, okay.
Try saying that 5 times fast.
Yumemite,
right?
Yumemite. Okay, all right.
Damn, that's skill. I like it. I like her because she's obviously kind of like, maybe, and this is just my hunch, maybe she's probably like a really a bad version of an idol who's kind of like had enough of everyone's shit, who's like so fed up with it.
Yeah.
But she wants more, and she's using her position as an idol to try and achieve her dreams but she fucking has, and she's had it up to here with everyone's shit. And I really like her eyes. Again, we'll talk about the production in a bit, but goddamn,
I agree. I like
those eyes.
Like I was saying, design perspective, yeah, Yumemi, it was so cute. And I agree. I really like that she had aspirations and she's like, I'm just here and I'm gonna fucking work my ass off to get what I want. Like, that was awesome. Yeah. But none of them are your favorite, are they? Or are they all kind of in a group, like your faves?
I would say, another standout character you meet, who's obviously the most unhinged, for numerous reasons, is the girl with the eye patch.
Midori.
Midori. She really loves... You want to talk about a character that loves the thrill of the game more than Jabame Yumiko. It's that character, to a point where I think she kinda is a little unhinged. Not to go too much into her character backstory.
A little unhinged.
Not to go too much into it, but yeah, there's reasons. Why she has a gun constantly.
I'll just put it bluntly, and I will just say that I find her disgusting. But that's not, but that's part of her character, and I can appreciate it. But that does not dispute the fact that she is disgusting.
But she just loves Yumiko, though, and she just loves Yumiko so much.
Oh my god.
She's such a good opponent, to the point where she gets really, really into it, and then has to lock herself in an enclosed area. And, again, just watch it to find out, ladies and gentlemen. The brilliance is in the execution of the scene.
What did you think of Yumiko as a character and as our main character?
Good question. As the protag, I liked her. I liked the fact that she is able to flip the script and say, "Oh, I'm so calm, composed, and I'm sweet as fuck, and I like Suzui because you're my first friend." And I'm like, "Oh, good on you, Jabame. Good on you. You are our best girl." And then after like getting into a game halfway through, she's like, her eyes are glowing red and she's like panting and she's really getting into it and she's screaming at the other opponent. She's like, "Do it. You want to do it, don't you? Do it." And I'm like, I guess I want to do it. And then she's like, "Kakegurui," and then she's like, "The thrill of the game," and then she orgasms. I'm like, I don't know about you, but you seem like you're having a good time over there. Your character is so straightforward and not really. Maybe people would say you're one note, but at the same time, I appreciate what you're doing.
I think that's a good point. I think that to a degree, sometimes I felt like she was one note, but also she was just so fun to watch that I think she made for a very strong, essentially protagonist. And I think even what I liked more than necessarily just her character is seeing the effect that she had on other characters, or like the dynamic that would come between her with other characters. Not to spoil too far, but there's like a secret team up at one point, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm all for this shit. Yes, it's so good."
I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, that was a turning point for me. I really, really liked that. But yeah, I think that she was definitely very enjoyable to watch, and I can see how for a lot of audiences, she's a like waifu tier, I guess. Not for me, because I'd be a little scared, but I can see it.
I don't know. Maybe she could coax you into like knowing what you really want. By giving you the look. Stronger than parfait eyes. They have like glow. They have a glow to them. It's kind of like going back to the Kuriko bit. You know how they get into the
zone?
Like with their eyes. Yeah, they go into the zone and they start leaving trails. Same with Jabame or Yumiko. She'll be like, "Yes, you know you want it," and you're like, "What's wrong with your eyes?" And she's like, "Shh, just play the game. It's okay.
She would. Did you watch Kakegurui? Oh wait, it's only out subbed so far, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, she'd just do her beautiful little catchphrase. She'd be like, "Sa kakegurui masho." Just
yeah.
Oh man, fun turning point. That being said, I think we could definitely now would be a great time to go into the production on the show.
The production on this show was toit. I thought that, again, I've said it, be with the idol girl and with Javami, a really good detailed look on the faces, the eyes, the freakish when people really get into the game and they are either cornered or they feel like cocky.
Yep.
Their mouths distort and they're just like, Javami, Yumiko, and just like, what's wrong with your mouth? Why are you spitting and salivating everywhere?
It's so true.
But
if any listener out there just wants a fun game, like whether you have seen the show or not, just Google image Kakegurui faces, and you will immediately know what's going on here. I think the one thing that Get noticed, because we watched a couple episodes together, is what he was so just like set off by in the creepy faces is he was like the teeth. They draw the teeth in like such detail that's not usually like in a lot of anime. You don't see that they draw every single teeth if they draw any, and so it just added this like creepy element to it.
They have depth, essentially.
Yeah, there's a lot of like shadows.
Same with the lip.
Yeah,
the lips too. They're well defined. I mean, with the student council president, she's got the like teal blue eyes and the teal blue lipstick, and I'm like, that's nice. That's a nice attention to detail. Good on you, Mappa.
That's another thing too, actually. I think that for all of the main cast, the character designs were very colorful and very distinct, and that made me really interested in learning more about each character, especially on student council. It was like, oh man, well, this character is presenting a lot of interesting things just based off of their appearance. I want to know, A, how that is executed, and B, is it actually kind of like a parody or flip on what they are showing us? For example, there is the cute Lolita-looking girl on the student council, but they gave us hints that like she's the creepiest fucking little thing in the entire world.
The little gremlin?
Yeah, ugh.
The little gremlin with the games and the sucker?
Yeah, that has like the Umaru hoodie.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, it's an Umaru hoodie, so she's already
there you go.
Little demon.
Certified gremlin.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
I would also say, like, the production also stems in its quality with its music. A lot of jazz, a lot of saxophone, especially when gambling. Holy crap, it kicks in, and you're like, I really like the music on this. It actually stood out to a point where I was like, I don't really pay attention to music much at all, but hey, this one actually stood out for once.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. I don't necessarily recall the background music too much, but I do feel like if anything, it was definitely a mood setter. Now I kind of want to go back and rewatch some of the games. I remember some like interesting songs that played when they would explain the rules of the game. It was kind of like a tech sounding, like calculated track, which was interesting. The opening to this show is god tier, though. Oh my god.
It's so sexual. So it's just like when the final lyric is like, honey?
Yes.
It's just like, okay.
It's just such a like tantalizing good time, and I feel like that comes through the music. I feel like that absolutely comes through the visuals. The visuals are definitely a bit more stylized than the show, but like I love it. I love all of it. I love the like color palette. I love the shading, the transitions between different scenes, and there's a whole bunch of plot foreshadowing. Again, shout out to Mother's Basement, who does What's in an OP analysis. He did one for Kakegurui's opening that I definitely recommend watching. I'll post a link in the description. But it's just really tight and well put together, and it was one that I never skipped. Ever.
Same with the ending. Ending song is really good.
That's true.
I like the fact that it focuses on Yumiko, and she just gives no shits.
Yep.
Just All of y'all need to go check it out. It's liberating and
That's the perfect way
captivating
to put
at the same
it.
time.
Liberating. That is the absolute best way to put it. It's true. That was also one I never skipped. It was fun, and I really like how that song built up, and the visuals are like, yeah, well, we're gonna ramp it up too. So, well put on that. Voice acting wise, I think that was also a very strong highlight of the show. Everybody was really good at creating the emotional stakes and also the psychosis of a lot of the characters.
Oh yeah, where some people got really into it and some people got really fucking scared. I'm very curious to see how this will be dubbed whenever the fuck it drops, but
I'm honestly wondering if that's why it's taking so long, because I wonder if they are hunting down like new talent to do the voices. Who knows?
It's possible. It's possible, so.
I want to say, and I'll look it up really quickly, I want to say Yumeko's voice actress was Mamiko Noto, but let me check that real quick and get back to you. Midori's voice actress was amazing and great.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's see here. Jabami Yumeko.
Jabami Yumeko.
Oh, no. It was Saori Hayami, who has been in the spotlight pretty recently. She was she was Shira Yukihime, for one, from Akagami no Shira Yukihime. She was Tsuruko in Anohana. She was I'm like scrolling here. I think she was also Shoko in A Silent Voice. I'm pretty positive. Ugh, this is taking me way too long because my anime list mobile sucks, but I will
it's all good. It's all good.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was Shoko in A Silent Voice. Very talented actress in many facets, as we can tell.
Nice. I had no idea on that one, actually. That's really good.
Yeah, she did great. Did you have any complaints about the voice acting or delivery?
No, to be quite honest, it did a damn good job. They really got into it. They really had a good time with their delivery in the booth.
Yeah.
As I said, I'm very curious to see how an English adaptation will live up to this.
Yeah, if so. I wonder what they'll have. I wonder what they'll translate her catchphrase to. I wonder if it's going to be like, shall we play or shall we gamble, or I don't know. I wonder what they're going to say with it. That'll be cool.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we covered the plot.
Yep.
We covered the characters. We covered their production. Do we have anything negative to say about the show on a surface level before we talk about ratings?
Yeah, because I think that one of the main dictators of the rating is the effect of the show's ending, and we won't go into spoilers of it. We'll save those for spoiler room, but I will say, in my opinion, and I believe in Cassie's opinion, and what I have heard of the Mal populace, the My Anime List populace, is that the ending was extremely lackluster, and that put a damper on a lot of people's experience of the show.
Suffice it to say, it felt a little rushed.
Yeah.
And it was not nearly as fleshed out or intricate as the other story beats in said show.
Yeah. I had a sneaking suspicion, and I believe it's true, where essentially up to the last episode, they were literally following things beat by beat with the manga, and then at episode 12, they opted for essentially an anime-only ending.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which we all know those can be a toss-up, so...
Yeah.
I'd say this falls on the not so good spectrum.
Well, do we have anything else negative besides the anime ending?
No, I think that we both picked up that there were some stops in the story department that maybe made it a little bit lackluster, but I think we covered it back there.
Yeah. Alrighty. So with that being said, we're going to go into our ratings. As you've no doubt have probably noticed by now, it's just me and Cammy this week.
Yep.
We initially had our other two co-hosts, the Jonathan Joestar Jojo, as we like to call the boy. He has been working hard. A little too hard for his own damn good.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, hope you are sleeping well. I don't know your rating there, dog. You never said one way or the other about the show, but I have a feeling you liked it.
Yeah.
You can cross-reference that later, and I can probably leave a note in the description below.
Yes.
But for Cass's thoughts here, let me pull this up on the side. Cass says that, according to her, she liked it. She said it was a good show with an amazing initial premise that copped out in the end, which we noted, both in the animation department and the story department, but was an enjoyable experience overall. I'm not exactly sure what she means by the animation department. Maybe it's because towards the tail end it wasn't dynamic, or maybe the last episode, episode 12, wasn't nearly as grandiose. Do you did you recognize any dip in quality?
I will say a couple things. To be fair, I think that the CG overall was pretty polished in the show, but there were times, I mean, they always use it at the exact same points. It's whenever they were dealing out like the decks and you would see the hands. And sometimes,
CG hands.
And sometimes it was a little bit like, outstanding. I don't know if that's something that Cassie was getting at, but I do know that she also appreciates when CG is well integrated versus not well integrated, and I sometimes notice the CG even, and I was like, this is kind of iffy. The only other thing that I noticed for me personally was that sometimes stylistically it did feel like the art was inconsistent. Specifically, if you would go into looking at Yumeko when she's just like, you know, she has chill, she's not gambling, and she's got like it's a very like
her cute face.
Yeah, it's a very like simplified moe style, and then they get like super in depth for the games, which
super creep face, right?
Yeah, and sometimes while it was the same character design, sometimes it didn't even necessarily look like the same characters, which was fine because like you want to have the contrast of how people are when they're playing a game, but that was definitely something that I also found noticeable in the artwork. But yeah, again, if there is a piece that we missed, we will add Cassie's feedback into the description so you can read more about that in depth, I think.
For sure. And coming off of that, I will give my final thoughts before we talk about spoilers. There's really, in my opinion, not too much to talk about spoiler-wise, but I will also go with the bandwagon by saying I liked it. I feel as though it was an enjoyable ride. Admittedly, some games were cooler, in my opinion. They had me more invested than others. The games were confusing as fuck. Again, I don't gamble, and it was fun just to watch it as like an outsider's perspective. But again, trigger warning, it is lewd, and there is without going too far into it, there is a part where there is blood. There's a character that the character and in blood. So fair warning, if you're able to watch that and are in for one hell of a roller coaster ride, give it a shot. If you don't like it, then you can always try other things out there. Good recommendation for a show that's also in the same vein is Kaiji.
Nice.
That's a gambling one as well with a very unique art style. And I hear nothing but good things about it. So, again, liked it.
Nice drop there, actually, for Kaiji. So, Get was watching a different Mother's Basement video. Again, I'll post a link in the doobly-doo where he talked about Kakegurui as a gambling anime compared to other gambling animes, and he mentioned Kaiji, and Get started watching the first 3 or 4 episodes of Kaiji. From what I've heard, it's definitely a lot more violent, a lot more fatal. So if you are looking for more intense stakes, that's definitely a good one to probably check out.
Nice.
That being said, again, yeah, I think this was almost a unanimous rating because I also want to give this show a like it. It was an enjoyable ride all the way through, and there were never really moments where I was like, this is a show that I'm like, could I have skipped? Like, I think no matter what, I would have wanted to check it out because it was unique enough in its season. It was well put together. It was refreshing to a degree compared to everything else that I was watching. I guess I just don't think it was perfect. There were things that felt lacking in the stakes of the story, and I wasn't super attached to too many characters. But it was a fun ride. It's a fun, wild ride, and I definitely think it's worth checking out at least. So, like it's across the board.
Right on.
Yeah.
And if you liked this topic and or you suck it out for this initial spoiler-free review of Kakegurui, Compulsive Gambler, then let us know by sounding off in the comments below via Twitter or via the email. Again, that's twitter.com/theanychatbox. That is also anychatmail@gmail.com. Let us know. Thank you for your continued support. And with that being said, we're going to go into the spoiler room. It's been a hot minute since we've been in there with those cushy bean bags.
Yes.
Right on. Well, Cammy, what do you have to talk about today with Compulsive Gambler besides the ending?
Oh, so
anything besides the ending?
Yes. Again, I just want to take a moment to gush because basically as soon as there's one game where Yumeko and Mary team up, like, and it's revealed, I was like, I am hype as shit on this. I love this because they started out as just kind of like two separate characters, almost rivals to a degree. And again, I think I just had the suspicion that each character that Yumeko defeated would never really come back again. And Mary came back again. We see what happened since she lost. And then she has her own reasons for going up against the student council. And I like that because I can see where she's fighting for it from versus with Yumeko, where it's just like, I want to take on the next possible challenge. Let's see here. What else was there?
Wasn't it with Mary that she was given a quote-unquote life plan written up by the student council, and she's like, fuck that, I'm not gonna do that. Well, Yumiko is just like, I don't care, whatever, you give me a life plan, I'll still fight you anyway because I enjoy the gamble, whereas Mary is like all about trying to get out of the dire straits situation with money.
Yeah, and I like their dynamic as well, because I think that it could basically be a form where, like, Yumeko is the one, I'm curious actually to know in the manga if they're gonna kind of split at the fork in the road and each try their own way to take down the student council, or if they'll kind of work off of each other with kind of like Yumeko as like the driving weapon, and then Mary's kind of in the back figuring out strategizing and figuring out how to make really influential changes. So that was definitely really interesting to me. And the end of Yumemi's arc was really interesting. I like that she kind of got her happy ending, the idol, like where she's just like, yeah, I hate all of you, and they're like, we don't care, we just want to like worship you. And
I just liked the fact that all of her fans were just like, ah, man, it's so bad. Like, all of her fans were like these fat, like
fat, sweaty otaku
dudes that, and I'm like, that's probably not far from
the truth. That's the
truth.
That's the sad part. But also, I think made her art compelling and interesting. And I do think that, like, she in her own rights is a bitch, but I also, at the same time, it's like, I wouldn't want to be in that position either. And she's doing it to work hard. So I was kind of happy in a way that she kind of got her happy ending. Whether that is,
I hate you all, but I'll still dance for you and buy my merch.
Yep. Oh man, and that special ending with like her and Yumeko dancing and doing an idol number. That was cool.
Yeah, that was I like the fact that Yumiko did it on the spot, and it looked like she didn't practice at all, but she was able to still nail it. And I'm like, wow, Yumiko is having a good time. Again, I support her 100% in all she does.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh, another character that came
hmm.
back that I really wasn't expecting was Nails Girl from like
Yeah,
the second episode. That was really interesting. And
Yeah.
again, I liked that dynamic where she was trying to get out of this weird past that she had with the treasurer guy. And
Yep.
that I don't that was cool.
Where she's like, "Oh man, we enlisted you because you had the passion," and then essentially she's like, "Fuck the student council. You guys are all awful. I'm going to one up you." And then she bit her fingernails off, and I winced hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, man, your aesthetic is fingernails, and you bit them off in a rebellious thing, because why? But okay. I mean, calling back to the thing I skirted around with the trigger warning for blood, again, that is also triggery, but Midori, the eye patch girl, literally stabbed at her own fucking eye because she's just like, I don't care if I die, whatever.
That was like the one scene violence-wise that made me really uncomfortable. The fingernails I got uncomfortable with too, but I think I saw it coming to a degree.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, eyeballs, yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, it was.
I was grossed out by Midori in other scenes where like she's masturbating just because like it kept making like schlocky sounds, and I was like, ew, I don't need to hear this. This is gross.
Where she's in the bathroom and she's essentially trying to play Russian roulette while looking like she's getting off in the stall, and yeah. I'm like, this shows a trip, man, a trip.
It's interesting too, because it's like, are they really trying to do that for fan service, or are they trying to show how like disgusting these people are? And I think it's on the latter, which is pretty cool. Because like,
I think it's on the latter. However, I will probably say with 100% certainty, there's probably fan art and body pillows of all these characters.
With Yumeko, definitely, I totally see that. I also think that with Yumeko, it's portrayed as slightly more fan servicey. With Midori, she's just fucking gross. Like,
yeah.
How did you feel about the fatality? Like, how suspended was your disbelief in like the gamble between Midori and Yumeko with like the guns? Like, I knew no one was gonna get shot, you know, so I was kind of like,
I don't like. Again, the suspension of disbelief with all of this is Yumiko's never gonna lose.
Yep.
And any opponent that she fights, they're gonna be okay too. I mean, the fingernail girl is fine. Mary was fine. Idol girl is fine. The treasury guy
went into a
essentially went into a coma and got gray hair. He pulled a Hunter x Hunter. Just saying, with a character from Hunter x Hunter has the same thing. And I'm like, okay. And even episode 12 was okay. And that leads me to my one bit where I was confused as fuck, because I'll say this and then maybe you can go back. Sure. But like, so we have that, and the mask lady was moderating this match between Treasury Boy and Yumiko. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. The student council president lady is out at like some family shit because she got a call. And then, whoa, lo and behold, the masked person is the student council president. And I'm like, what the fuck? How did she get there with that? And then, are they twins? Did she just fucking was there the entire time? And everyone else is like, oh, wow, that was a thing. And I'm like, suspension of disbelief, I guess. And
yeah, and I feel like in the last episode, one of the last scenes where Lolly Girl is on the phone, they're hinting at, I think, there's some sort of weird twin dynamic that is just not being spoken of. And it was weird because even though I think primarily they wrote an anime-only ending episode, that was like a weird allusion to possible season 2, and it just wasn't like smoothly put together.
I would watch a season 2.
Heck yeah, I would, especially if they went back to the manga. But like on a whole, episode 12 was just, I was like, nothing's going on here. Like, there's nothing they could possibly do in the span of 30 minutes to make like it life changing.
You mean they spent the first half of that episode just explaining the game, and then the other half of the episode playing the game, and it's just like, oh man, we had a tie. Oh, drats. I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time.
That was literally it. It was like, yeah, I'll get you next time. You and you kids and your dog.
He's shooting you. I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for your meddling kids and your gremlin lolly moe blob.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo! Yes. What is it? It just like, I think the one scene in the last episode that I got pretty hyped by, which made sense, is finally when like MC is like, yeah, I'm just gonna do shit, and then Yumeko's like guiding him, and he finally has the balls to do something because she's like controlling him, and I was like, that's kind of hype. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm glad that he got the cojones to do something rather than be like, I'm the avatar for the madness and I know what's going on, but I hope I'm flipping the cards right, because if so, then Yumiko's gonna die in the gunshot game, and man, what's gonna happen if she loses against the president?
He also like kind of subtly confessed to her too, which was cool. And I guess that's canon in the manga. I don't know if he's confessed, but he definitely does have feelings for her. That's another thing actually that I recall Cassie mentioned before. She liked that there was a bit of like cute relationship building between him and Yumeko. There were some cute scenes like at the end of the game arc where she was just like, I just trusted you or something like that, when they're like under the veranda in the sunset. That was cute. And I thought it was funny when he was like, well, I need you to stay here because I like being here with you, and then Mary and Nails Girl are like, what the fuck, did you just hear that? What? That was funny. I liked it.
Yeah.
Kind of like you. I'm just like, what? Am I missing anything? I don't think so.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think so. I mean, the episode 12 was kind of rushed. Every other game had at least 2 episodes of breathing room, whereas this just kind of like hard stop right there, and it's just like, okay, this is obviously going to be a season 2, but this is Mappa we're talking about, so they'll probably won't come back. Maybe
they're doing a Yuri on Ice season 2 and a movie. So
wait, is Mappa attached to this?
Yeah, because Mappa's covering it.
I did not know that. Cool, good on them. I just know for One Punch Man, they season 2 they're handing that off to JC staff and a different director. So I was like, maybe I didn't know Mappa was the one and done studio.
I think that's Madhouse, because I think Madhouse originally had One Punch Man.
Wait, you're right. Yeah. Damn, I'm getting the studios mixed up. Fuck.
It's all good. Madhouse I think is notoriously known for not getting second seasons, which is sad. So that being said, we're getting into other anime discussions, so we can set all of you listeners free. Thank you, Craig, for hosting this episode, and it's been really fun just being able to shoot the shit with you one-on-one.
It's the first time, and hopefully not the last time, then it's just you and me, because it's usually you and John, or you and Cass, or me and Cass,
or you and John,
me, Cass and John, or me and John, or me, John, and Cass. Exactly. And I'm like, I never had a solo experience talking with just Cammy, and now the planets have aligned, and I was able to see the blue moon. It was amazing.
Wow, that's poetic. I appreciate it. It reminds me of our late night philosophical sleepover talks. Those are pretty great.
Oh yes. Oh, yes, indeed.
Yes. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. And, I don't know. How about you go out there and gamble your life away?
I would say gamble responsibly. Go in with a set amount and realize that you're probably gonna break. And if you break even, or if you go a little above, then you're golden. But if you go in with over millions of dollars, like in Kakegurui, which made me every game think, man, I wish I had a fraction of this.
Yes.
Don't go any higher. Don't go bust. For the love of God, cash out.
He speaks the truth. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.